Welcome to the My Race Pass app, the #1 app for motorsports fans. We want to make sure you get the most out of your My Race Pass app experience. With your new free account, you can use the My Race Pass app to see race day information, including event entries and official lineups and results for over 600 organizations across North America. You can also see track information and purchase online event tickets for select tracks. With your free account, you can also search for a track or series on the My Race Pass app and favorite their profile to receive news and race day notifications on your mobile device. To see more information and to see which app subscription is best for you, be sure to visit getmrpapp.com. My Race Pass, the
Well, hey everybody, welcome to another Real Race Talk Tuesday night edition of everybody's favorite racing talk show, the Revved Sports Show. Showtime, Bobby Chappie right here. The Iceman, Rodney Rodriguez, that is the man on your left. My right, your left. And indeed, we're on in the month of May and possibly everybody's most favorite Sunday of the year. Welcome,
Man,
how the hell are you doing tonight?
dude, I love this time of year. I mean, this weekend that's coming up. I mean, there's a couple of things that you can count on. Number one, you're going to have lots of racing. I don't even care if you like Formula One. I mean, people are going to get up to watch that. Then you got Indy, then you got the 600, and the other thing you can count on here in Texas, it's going to storm. I guarantee you it's going to storm. So that's what we have in store this weekend, Bobby. But man, it's time to get after it. This is, if you're a race fan, I mean, this is kind of what you live for right here. And man, we got stuff happening all around the region here too. There's all kinds of stuff that's going on.
Man, we got a lot happening, not only national scale, local scale. Local is in Texas. You've got some all-star shootouts with the factory stocks. You've got some sprint, Race Saver Sprint Week coming up, cruising up in Northeast Texas into South Central Texas. Got some big Stems racing action happening on Sunday down at the Sparkling City, Corpus Christi. And then lots of races in between. Our partners at Cotton Bowl will be racing again on Memorial Day, Saturday weekend. So there is definitely not a shortage of stuff whether you are a national fan and like the mainstream stuff like we do, or you enjoy the short track stuff like that. Also, speaking of short track, H&P racing this weekend too from rescheduled rain date from a couple of weeks ago. So if you are a motorsports fan and you have some kind of excuse about not finding something to your liking this week and this weekend, turn in your fan card because something's wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're coming off of a weekend which I think it was a really big weekend for short track racing. Just in what we saw, obviously you had everything going on at Wilkesboro, but I know, we can talk about the All-Star race and everything that went on there. We can talk about Indy a little bit later on. Marcus Harcrow is going to join us. That's with the All-Star shootout that's coming up. All of that stuff. We'll talk to him here in just a little bit and preview some of that. But I think it was a really big weekend, even though some of what you saw with the Cars Tour and so forth, that it kind of went off the rails a little bit. That's somewhat to be expected. We kind of talked about that last week, but then you had the Wheeling Modifieds that got after it as well. And I think that those were, the Modifieds weren't on primetime TV and so forth. But I think the simple fact that you had a pro late model or a late model stock car race that was actually on Fox TV, even with all the hiccups and the mess and so forth, I think it was really good at a grassroots type of track, Bobby, to get that in front of people, for folks that may be newer to some of the racing stuff, to realize what short track racing is really all about.
I think it's showcased. I mean, the one thing that it did is it raised more eyebrows than it did at North Wilkesboro this time around. Obviously, when they ran the rebirth of that speedway a couple of years ago with the late model stocks and proved there was an atmosphere that could be had at North Wilkesboro, where SMI and Marcus Smith said, well, damn, these are just late model stock cars. But we're so close to the home base in Charlotte. What if we brought the Cup Series back? What if we brought the NASCAR Cup Series here? What a better place to do it. Then they spent that $12 million to sit there and fix it up. And lo and behold, leaps and bounds. I call it probably top 3 races of the year for this past weekend. Obviously, the best. To me, it was the best short track race in a number of years. there
Yeah.
at Wilkesboro for sure.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that we can kind of touch on here as we kind of go on through this, because I think what it's really brought up, and to me it kind of seemed like contained chaos a little bit as that race went on, and then towards the end, to where they're putting microphones in people's faces and they're like, "Hey, what do you think? Should we have a points race here?" Kind of seemed like some ulterior motives right there as that whole question had come up, and we can kind of give our thoughts on what that might be about, but that definitely right there seems to be the track that is showcasing that car, or this car, a little bit better at this point. But kind of back to the late model stock car thing with the Cars Tour. And again, you had a jumbled mess, and you had everything that was going on. We talked to Jared Fryer last week, and kind of having this whole discussion, but you knew that was going to happen. But what I liked about having that race on TVs was, and I put this on Facebook, I think, towards like the late model stock car sounds really different from everything else. And you see them, and they I mean, if you're a newer fan, yeah, they kind of all look alike. They all kind of look like pavement stock cars, but they drive different. And the good thing about, in my opinion, having Junior and Harvick in there, they were talking about the differences in that car, to where even a very generic fan could understand, okay, this isn't a cup car, this isn't a Busch car, this isn't a truck even. It's a very different type of animal right here to what you have on a regional or short track each and every week, or twice a month.
I mean, to me, what it showed as far as telecast wise is that the Cars Tour can hold point with as good of a show
Yep.
as ARCA.
Yep.
And ARCA actually, despite what some people say about ARCA, and we've been critical of ARCA here in the past, that late model stock car show with the Cars Tour held point with ARCA, because ARCA, you got to think about it. They got a really good TV package for what they have. I mean, they're on network TV sometimes for the races at Daytona and Talladega. So they, some of their bigger races, Michigan, Pocono, some of that stuff is all nationally televised live on FS1. Sometimes they're on FS2, but I mean, they definitely have a unique TV package, and I think it's something where the Cars Tour might be able to take advantage of this showcase they got. Yes, the start was a shit show, no doubt about that. But I think overall, the product as a whole, I think, made up for the incident there at the starts, or the back-to-back starts there at lap 1, because it happened in both races. It happened in the pro late model race, and it happened in the late model stock race. So some of that, as your word, conducive to the track conditions, conducive to that turn number 1 down there, because they weren't the first ones to widen out that groove. The Cup cars are doing 3 and 4 wide at Wilkesboro, and those late model stocks got lucky to do maybe a groove and a half there for about the first third of that race.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that was kind of something that you just touched on right there, and again, I think the coverage was really good with all of that, to where they were really sure to mention, especially with the late model stock, because it was in the, the bigger profile, the better time frame, whatever you want to call it, more of the eyeballs on it. It was a faster track. It was everything that they're not used to doing. And I think that's something that you really factor into that, to where it's like it's a different avenue. When cup cars go to a super speedway, you're going to have stuff that happens when you go to a repave. And this was a combination, to me, for the late model stock cars, to where it's a combination of the both, where you had them at a much faster or much different racing surface that they're used to being at, and at the same time with a repave. And as the entire weekend went on, what I really like to see there, and what I enjoyed seeing, is that you had multiple grooves, and that's what you really want in all of these tracks. I mean, depending on what the tire package is, and a lot of that, if you want to place it on Goodyear or Hoosier, whoever the manufacturer is. But when you actually have multiple grooves, that when the track starts working itself in, it really calmed itself down really nice, to where if you would have had the constant mess that you had from the get-go, I think that would have been a bigger black eye on stuff. But I think the Cars Tour really, really shined in their debut in a national spectrum in front of a lot of people.
And our man Eric, good call on that race, for sure. Granted, that's his bread and butter, but I think I see a truck future for that dude. We love Jamie Little. She's great. She's friend of the show, good friend of yours. She's just missing that little spark that you got to have as a play-by-play analysis. So that, we love her to death and she's great, been a good friend to both of us, but just that little spark needed to reignite that Fox booth there for the Truck Series.
Yeah, that's where I'm kind of on the fence with that so much is that's a really hard job. I mean, those folks that do that, I mean, because it's drastically different. I mean, it's one thing, and I really do think that there's a difference between a PA guy and a broadcaster, because I mean, when you're inundated with monitors and people in your ear and all these different things, it's Jamie is probably the best pit road person that you're going to find. She is so good at that and telling stories and finding different things. And she knows all the intricacies of like when she's over there scraping tires and doing all these different things. But when it comes to that play-by-play part, that's really hard. That is really hard. And I do think that Eric, I mean, that dude is amazing at what he does. I mean, I still, as we sit here, that was a cool thing about listening to some of the indie stuff throughout the week on Fox. Hearing Alan Bestwick on PA, it's like, why is that dude not a play-by-play guy? And I think a lot of that is his own choice, but that's a really hard job. But Eric, man, that dude has that stuff down.
I mean, you and I both know from experience, it is hard as hell when you're staring at a great big glass window out at a racetrack. It is very hard to call a race from a 15-inch monitor. Very, very hard. We've both been there. It's very hard to do. That's another reason why Junior Fox missed the wreck midway through the track, because they followed the leaders down into turn number 1 and they start wrecking in the middle of the field. And Earnhardt was the first one to see it because he wasn't looking at the monitor. He's looking out the window.
Yeah.
So it's a very, it's the good ones make it look easy, whether you're a PA guy, a play-by-play guy, or a color guy. The good ones make it look easy, make it sound easy when none of them are. And that's the best part about it. When somebody goes, oh, that looks so easy or sounds so easy, I could do it. No, you can't.
Yeah. Yeah, that really is the hardest part. I mean, because you do have to have, I mean, your eyes have to like go different ways. I mean, to be able to see what's going on. And then, and the whole thing is, I think a lot of what Jamie's thing is, and I mean, it's a no-win for her. I mean, it really is a no-win. That's just the way this whole thing works out for her, because I think if it was one thing where if Jamie Little was broadcasting a race and she was looking through the glass and she found a battle for 10th and was talking about the battle for 10th, but yet the monitor was on a battle or not even a battle, just sitting there on second place or whatever, and she's not talking about what's on the screen, I think we know what the outcry would be. She's not even talking about what's on the screen. So that's where it gets really hard. I mean, because it's a lot. But I will say, what I really liked about, because one of the things, and again, this may be some of, just Jamie being new to play-by-play, and I will tell you this, it's hard. It's really, really hard, especially with something like that. But what I liked about with Eric making that call, and you can go back and watch this thing, when he had Harvick and Dale Jr. there, they weren't stepping all over this guy. To where a lot of times with Jamie, when she's calling a race, and she's got good analysts and everything going on there, and I don't think Adam Alexander had the same problem either, to where it's like they weren't like talking over her. So, and again, that's not because she's a lady or anything. I think it's because she's newer in that role, but those guys would like pull back. I could like hear them, and I'm waiting for them to say something, but they would let the lead pull in and kind of make his call. And I think that's important. So,
well, you mentioned cameras staring at a monitor. I mean, it's not helping when they're not at a racetrack live.
Yeah.
Like, why the hell CW and Fox FS1 were not live at Rockingham when it's an hour and a half drive from Charlotte to the racetrack? Why they weren't there live and in living color and sitting there at the NASCAR production studios watching it on a great big HD screen is beyond me. I don't understand that at all. I don't think it's a good look. I don't think it's a good idea. I understand A, why they did it during COVID. And then B, I understand why networks like to do it, because, it's easier to play for catering when they just come right down the street versus it is having to pay for catering and pay for the hotel and pay for rental cars and pay for all that good jazz.
Yeah. And I will tell you, just from experience myself, I mean, doing remote broadcasts from a monitor is really hard. I mean, I did some karting stuff, off of, and I was just using a PC at the time. I didn't have the setup that I have now to where I've got multiple monitors and I can see a little bit better if I look this way or whatever the case is. you're always going to have some sort of lag in there. There's always going to be some kind of delay. I mean, you can use the best Wi-Fi, you can use everything that you want to have right there, but there's always going to be a lapse right there. I mean, you really do need to have those people there on site to make that thing really genuine. And the whole thing about it is, to your point, is when you're there, I think a lot of people can gather in from a play-by-play announcer, whatever you want to call it, from their articulation, their excitement when they're actually there. You know, the monitors are hard. I mean, it's a great thing to call races that way. I mean, I mean, I don't have a preference. I mean, I'll do it either way. But I will tell you, when I'm calling off a monitor, I do look over. And when I'm doing a call, this is just personal. And I know this isn't Fox or whatever. I tell the camera guy, I'm like, be ready. I'm going to be looking. And if I see something, I'd like you to pan that way. So I think that's where it gets kind of tough.
The good camera guys that know you don't have a monitor, listen to the PA guy, listen to the announcer.
All the time.
They're a little bit more forgiving when you have a monitor, because then you can kind of follow them. But if you don't have a monitor and you're playing blind, the good camera guys listen to you and they follow you versus you having to follow them when there's no monitor, because you can't follow them without a monitor.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's the thing with that. But kind of the whole point of this is, Eric, man, that dude's got himself some kind of hell of a future going on. So if you're out there listening, if Eric's job becomes available, call me. I'll do the car tour. That'd be fun. But anyway, call Bobby or I. We'll do.
We know one of the pit reporters.
Yeah, once he's elevated, we can kind of step into that spot. But with the Cars Tour first race, our man, I mean, there he is once again, Caden Honeycutt, going to victory lane in the Pro Late Models in that 47 car. That's one of those things where it really does. It makes my heart proud every time that I look around and see that dude out there doing what he's doing. I have to tell you, I kind of messaged you and said it in a different way, but I'm really glad that Caden has kind of focused in on what the priorities are right now. I mean, I don't think if Caden was still doing, dirt late models and factory stocks and all these different things, I don't think that would hamper his ability. But I think the fact that he's made himself available to do these sort of races on pavement, I think that's really garnering him a lot of interest and notoriety. I mean, you heard people talking throughout the weekend about him. I mean, he turned the most laps at Wilkes than anybody else. And you heard people talking about that dude like a legitimate rising superstar, which is totally what he is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he took it. He's taken advantage of every opportunity he's been given.
Yep.
Right. And he showcased that. And when he gets in rides, he's not getting in, back of the field, feel fuller equipment. He's getting in pretty top-notch rides, whether that be in a late model stock, a super late model, pro late model. He's getting into top-notch equipment.
Yep.
When he's getting these opportunities, and he's not getting the opportunities because he's not good. He's getting the opportunities because, one, he doesn't tear up a lot of shit. Mm-hmm. And then two, he's just pretty damn good. It's kind of that simple of an equation. Young guys and gals could learn a lot from the way that Caden Honeycutt has done it. Paid a little bit of dues. Did he have a little bit of backing to get where he was? Just a little. Enough to get the opportunities that he needed to make the most of the opportunities that he had, for sure. Like at the Derby, when he got hooked up with Wilson for the Derby, he was on the show, told us about it, and then he went out, qualified second, I think, for the Derby or pole or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then, was in contention in the top 10 all day.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of one of the things. Oops, sorry about that. Checking out some stuff here. I think that's one of the things, was really cool as they were talking about him throughout the weekend. They kept referring to him as a Snowball Derby winner. And if you have achieved that at this point, look, the Snowball Derby's always been kind of the Super Bowl of short track racing. We've known that for years. It's always been that. But now that the Derby is at a point to where, like you've talked about, Bobby, to where it's like on Sirius XM, you hear them talking about that race. You see this. You see it on network TV to where they talk about that race. The fact that he has won that race and elevates him, and I think a lot of that is with that team that he aligns himself with when he gets back in a short track car. And I mean, our man JC Umscheid, he's been on this show and he's talked about how that team is so buttoned up and put together. and they show up, and even in the late model stock race, I saw some people beating him up to where it's like, whatever happened, that dude dug his way back in and still got a top 5. So it's a really good talent that he has. And I'm really glad that he has elevated himself. And for me, that was one of the highlights of the weekend, that a lot of people got to see how good that dude really is.
Yeah, a lot of people got to showcase something we've known for years.
Yep.
The next big thing, next big superstar. And it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. I mean, obviously he's getting married here in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. I mean, him and Jessica are destined for great things on that front. So, I mean, you know, the sky's the limit for this dude. And I know we keep calling him a kid, but he's a young man. The sky's the limit for this dude. And just, you know, I'm so glad that Al Neese and him were able to hook up. And, you know, he's the flag bearer over there. You know, he's the one that runs the trucks and gets the most publicity out of all the trucks over there. So, I mean, I think it's good. And, you know, one thing's for sure, he had him covered at Charlotte.
Yeah.
And so he's destined to win one of these 1.5-mile races. Hopefully another Texas incident doesn't happen. But I guess Charlotte doesn't have they don't have real grass. They got that synthetic grass. So hopefully that won't be a problem this time around.
Yeah. And then when you did have that stock car race, late model stock car race, Landon Lewis winning that one, and, you know, pretty dominating fashion right there. But I think once you go back, here's a couple of observations that I saw out of the late model stock car race. And again, this is where a lot of the knock on Fox or FS1 or whatever you want to call it, to where people say, maybe not some of the coverage on some of the battles that go on throughout the field, and too many commercials. That seems to be a lot of what you get. But I'll tell you, that was not the thing with the late model stock car race. Again, I'm sure you didn't have the inventory that was intact there for commercials for that race on FS1 like you would with a cup race or a truck race, because you had a lot of extended racing that was going on throughout that race, to where it wasn't, you know, every 7 minutes going to commercial. I mean, you had some really long lags in there, and they were really doing, and this is probably our friends at Flow that were probably producing this. I don't know it for sure. But you did have to where they were moving this thing around, and they were covering bits and pieces of the race. And at the same time, like you're talking about with Eric, and we're talking about with Dale and with Kevin, they did a really good job to showcase these people. And I thought that in the late model stock car race, that it was really great having Dale and Kevin on that broadcast, because they were talking about these guys in 10th place. They're talking about family run companies and talking about their history and all that. And that's really what you want. I mean, that's that personalization that you want to get. And people got to know these people. And I thought that was a stellar broadcast from FS1.
I think so too. I mean, I think, you know, money wise, who knows if cars had to pay to be on there, or if it was just, you know, kind of like UFL programming. Long as you put me on TV, you don't have to pay me, right? Kind of a deal. So it was good to see. It was a great race, even after the starts were a little madhouse-ish. But I was pleased. I was happy for him. I think it got some much notoriety, and I think it proved the next thing, that short track racing is alive and well in the world of stock car racing. I think that's what it proved, that there's a market for it. People loved it. And overall, I mean, other than I think the start was I was critical of the start on social media myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at the end, a lot of people on social media were critical to start, but that race as a whole and the broadcast made up for it a lot. And a lot of people had good, positive things to say about the overall aspect of that race, which was good.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it was a really good way to kind of button up and kind of work the way into the weekend, to where you did have, I mean, you had the NASCAR stuff that was going on, but I think that a lot of the allure of going back to Wilkesboro is that it is kind of that homegrown, you know, rising from the dead, whatever you want to call it, all the different whatever things that you can talk about. I think it was a really good thing that they showcased that part, and they were really good, it seemed like to me, throughout the weekend, about talking about the other stuff that was going on Flow. They tied it all up to where I think that a casual short track fan, and you know, let's kind of get over a little bit all the you know, dirt versus asphalt thing. I think it was a good win for short track racing.
I think it was a good win, but I think the biggest thing. Sorry.
Oh, it's all right. Puppo.
At least
Mine just
at least the little dog's not on the couch doing God knows what like you
mine
normally
just
is.
looked up. She's like, "What have I missed here?"
Yeah, right.
She said, "What have I missed?"
But I wonder. Remember when we got back? Because I've seen some of the pandemic stuff pop up on Facebook memories. Because this is about the time NASCAR went back into
Right.
business with
Yep.
live sports during the pandemic in 2020. I wonder if this particular race on FS1 will have the same impact for flow as the iRacing series during the pandemic had for iRacing. Will this be a needle mover to where you get people say, well, how can I watch no one in races? How come Fox
Yeah.
hasn't covered it? Well, it's on Flow. Well, what's Flow? Well, it's a subscription streaming service. Oh, well, okay. Well, hell, I got plenty of those. What's one more to watch a bunch of racing?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they get tied into Racing America. Oh, well, that same kind of series is going to be on Racing America. Oh, I think overall, I think it proved that streaming, and obviously, we hadn't even talked about the big elephant in the room about the streaming starting Sunday.
No, yeah, that's right. Yeah. And today is Happy Streaming Day, by the way. So thank you all for being a part of this because we've been doing it. Like I always say, you remember old Barbara Mandrell? I was country before country was cool. We've been doing this since before streaming was cool. So
We've been doing it before podcasting got cool.
Yeah, really. It's like podcast. What is that? What is that? Well, we're still going. We're still going. And we're looking better these days. You know, Bobby might be a little kind of white right there. He's got the lights on, you know. I shaved, you know. So, you know, we're doing all right.
I trimmed my beard a little bit. I had to go to the office today.
Yeah, we're doing all right. Speaking of big deals going on this weekend, and it's not even this weekend. It's already starting like tonight. You got practice happening, the All-Star Shootout, and this is a massive deal that's going on right here in the southern parts of the United States as you folks check in, and we bring a great friend of the show. He's been a Revved Up supporter for a long time, and this is a guy that has taken over the controls right there of the All-Star Shootout. I don't know why. Why do you subject yourself to this, my man, Marcus Harkrow? Welcome to the Revved Up Sports Show once again, my friend.
That's a good question, Rodney. I'm sure, and I'm fairly confident my wife doesn't watch, so I can say this with ease. She asks that same question every time I do something or I volunteer to do something. You know, this is more of a voluntold position. That's the way Selby put it.
Yes.
Honestly, I'm excited about this role. You know, if I can't be in a race car, then I want to be involved in racing. And what better way to do it than promoting, either a racetrack or in this case, a tour that goes to 4 racetracks.
Absolutely.
You know, and so, I mean, I've said it over and over and over. I'm just excited. You know, great team of tracks, great partners. The weather is looking absolutely fabulous. You know, Oklahoma had some scariness last night, but it's pushed on. It's gone. You know, they're still prepping the track. We're running behind a little bit for the practice / fastest lap. But you know, the track's going to be in great shape for tomorrow night. I've talked to Mark over at Grayson County. He's super, super excited because he has only got to race one time in this tour. He's always been rained out. You know, so he's excited. The drivers are excited. I mean, there's looking out there, I think we got somewhere around 20 cars right now here just for practice. You know, and so I'm just again, sound like a broken record over here. I'm just excited. I'm just like raring to go. You know, stopped at Smiley's in Mesquite, talked to Matthew there on the way here and had a great chat with him. They're a big part of our success this year. And they've been a big part of the tour's success in the past. And they want to come together as they always have and continue to grow this, you know, continue to grow this brand, which then grows their brand. And together, I think we can do just that. But man, we have so many good partners, and I don't want to sound like this, promoter, but hey, that's what I am.
That's your job. That's your job.
But really, we have so many great sponsors and partners. We have Weir's Machine and Racing Products, IMCA Modifieds. We have the CRS Suspension, IMCA Southern Sport Mods. We have the Speed Secrets, IMCA Stock Cars. We have, as I mentioned, Smileys. We have Fast Shafts, Abilene Race Rads, Lit Sticks, Pit Lights, and then a lot of behind the scenes partners. We have IMCA TV for this tour, doing the broadcast for all 4 nights. My Race Pass for getting us up and going on their site. We've got Jeff Hunter Toyota, and wait till you see this truck tomorrow. We're gonna do a little live video of this truck that they've brought up here for the pace truck. Ooh boy, this thing is sharp. So we got a nice 2025 Toyota Tundra, courtesy Jeff Hunter Toyota down in Waco. Southern Sass Photography. Stacy's going to be with us throughout the tour, and going to have all the action shots, all of our winter photos. So happy to have her on board. Diamond Duo Ventures. They're a lot behind the scenes with our some of our marketing and our promotional items. And really, again, I can't say it enough. These tracks, they came together 5 years ago and wanted to do something that was racetrack beneficial. There was a tour here previously that came during the same time, but the tracks were really just a stop. They were a visit. They weren't really a part of the tour in regards to how the tour ran, the economics of everything. And so, they came together, and they're, just as excited as I am to make this bigger and better, not just this year, but the years to come.
Absolutely.
So, Marcus, you kind of stole my question to a certain extent about, how does it come together? Is it something where the tracks come to y'all, or does the tour go to the tracks? Because Rodney had the schedule up, and it's a very, very large array of tracks. And for some people that have never been to some of these tracks are top notch that you're going to, all over the not mid-south. I guess that's more like Georgian stuff, but mid Arklatex, Oklatex, whatever you want to call it, kind of.
Yeah, Oklatex. I like that.
There you go.
Yeah. For guys that haven't been, it is a wide variety of race track styles. We're going to start at SOS, which is a big 3/8 mile track. And for some of us more Central Texas guys, we think of like Cotton Bowl being a big, a 3/8. You're making gear changes for here. And a stock car guy, you might run a 700 down at Waco or Kennedale or Cotton Bowl, whereas you're coming over here, you're running a 666. You're putting more gear in it. You need to go further down the straightaway. It's a big, fast track. And then you change gears. You go to Grayson County, which is a tight bull ring, and again, I reference stock car just because that's, my wheelhouse. You might put a 714 in there because it's such a short bull ring track, and even though you may have the same gear for Waco and Kennedale, the racing is totally different. You got the real high banks at Waco, multiple grooves we saw last week. We've seen the last couple of weeks, like at the Baby Blue, and then you get to Kennedale and a little flatter banking, but provides, again, multiple grooves. You got low, middle, high, and I just go back to my word. I'm so excited about what we've got prepared And back to your question, Rodney. My apologies, but your question was, how does this kind of work? Well, the easiest way I can put it is the tour is the company, and I'm your CEO.
Yeah.
Well, the company has a set of board members, and those board members are the owners of each and every track. So we're all working together to make the tour as well as the tracks benefit and grow within the tour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I got to tell you, Marcus, one of the things that I love about this and the 5th annual All-Star Shootout that's getting ready to kick off. Marcus is live at Southern Oklahoma Speedway right now as they practice tonight. One of the things that take a look at that right there. And again, it's Southern Oklahoma tomorrow, Grayson County on Thursday, Heart of Texas Speedway in Waco, and then Kennedale on Saturday. That is the All-Star Tour. No offense to our factory stock friends, because there are lots of them and they have some big stuff coming up. We ain't talking about them. We're talking about IMT's truck cars. We're talking about modifieds, and we're talking about Southern Sport Mods. To me, that's pretty badass.
No, it is. And I got lots of factory stock friends.
Have they called you? Or are they like, hey, can we get in here?
Every day. And I don't want to, what's the saying, count your chickens before they hatch, right, kind of thing. But I can tell you it was a discussion. As most of y'all know, I got handed this a little less than a month ago.
Yeah.
And the first thing that was brought up was, do we want to make it more than the 3 classes? Do we want to add factory stocks or even junior limiteds? 3 of the 4 tracks run those 2 classes on a weekly basis. But we just felt like the short time frame that we had to try to execute everything and want to execute at the best, that we needed to make sure that we stuck with what we've been doing and move forward through this year. And then next year, revisit the idea of potentially adding more cars, more tracks. This at one point had 5 tracks in its tour, and so allow me to do what they want me to do, and that's to grow the tour, not just in a fan base and a car base, but, in its coverage, right, where it goes, what cars it brings, and so forth.
Yeah.
So in terms of the actual tour itself, explain how it works. Is there like qualifying nights? Obviously, you got practice night there with John Webb and the guys up at Southern Oklahoma Speedway. But are you taking, format wise, is it going to be the same every night? Going to run a couple of heat races, lock in LCQs,
yes, sir.
The mains.
That's pretty much it in a nutshell. We'll have some heat races. It'll be basically a traditional draw, redraw. I do have an actual format. If I wouldn't have been late, I might have had all this up and ready for y'all. But when I got to Dallas, it became a parking garage. Really, the moment I left Smiley's, I was in traffic, and it just seemed to not stop till I got to the Red River.
That's about right.
So I'm just double checking. So yes, a traditional draw, redraw. I was looking to see if it said anything about high or low or big bucket, small bucket. And I don't see anything in the procedural format that says that. So a traditional draw, redraw, I think some of the guys are already drawing in tonight for tomorrow night, checking in. We have a mulligan option.
Oh, nice.
And the way the mulligan works is you do have to declare it up front. So some places you get to draw one and then decide whether you want to do a mulligan or not. Kind of like golf. You hit it and then, Shank that one. I'm dropping another one. You know, Rodney does that from time to time, from what I hear.
Every time.
You know, but this one, before you hit the ball, you got to declare, hey, I want a mulligan. You pay your mulligan fee, and you get 3 peel draws instead of just the 1, and you get the best of the 3. You know, so you have the potential to better your starting spot for the heat, which then in turn, you know, gets you maybe in a redraw or a better starting spot for the B if you're not able to drive further up into the heat. You know, but that's, you know, typical draw, redraw, probably depending on the number of the heats, take top 12 out of the heats into the A, the rest into a B. You know, and take the remainder 12 out of the Bs. We'll start 24 cars, you know, each night. And, you know, purse is the same. Race procedure is the same. Even though we're going to 4 different tracks, and all 4 tracks kind of do their own thing on a normal night, they will all be in unison this week. You know, and at the end, you know, while you've been at each one, you've been collecting points. And then the tour has a points fund for all 3 divisions. And we pay those drivers on Saturday night at Kennedale once the final race for that class, that division's over, and we calculate the points, and everybody's through tech, and we'll hand them envelopes full of cash and contingency prizes. You know, we've got drive shafts from Fast Shafts, all 3 divisions. We got radiators and super sucker fans from Abilene Race Rads. We've got revalve, a complete 4-set shock revalve from CRS Suspension. We've got gift certificate gift cards to Smiley's. You know, and you can, I mean, so many things. We got Lit Sticks, pit lights. We've got gift certificates of them. Man, the list goes on and on, you know, and so everybody in the top 10 that gets paid in the points leaves with a contingency as well. So, you know, aside from the nightly money, you know, there's incentive to run the whole tour and to be competitive.
Absolutely. And if you want to tell your 3 champions, they're on the hook for next Tuesday to be on this program live to talk about how they won. So throw that at them. I mean, they may not want to do that, but tell them too damn bad.
No, let's do it. Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm going to put it in their envelope.
Put it in there. Say your ass is stuck. You have to be on Revved Up next Tuesday. I did want to ask you also, a last one from me, Marcus, is what I really like is we've seen the modifieds resurge again, you know, whether it be with stems, toms, whatever, everything happening up in Oklahoma, Louisiana, all that. There's bonus money for the modifieds as well, right? I mean, so I think that is huge right there. That's really going to bring out some of them big guys.
Yeah, so yes, and I got the backstory on that today. That's something they started just a year or so ago, you know, and for the people that are listening, what Rodney's bringing up is we have a win bonus. So if you win 2 races, it doesn't matter if it's the first one or the last one or back-to-back or whatever it is, you win 2 races, we're going to give you an extra $500. On top of your winnings, that's $1,250, as you see right here on the broadcast. $1,250 for those mods nightly. You win 2 of those, we're going to give you $500. If you win 3, we're going to double it, and we're going to hand you $1,000. Now, here's the kicker: if you sweep all 4 nights, we're going to hand you $2,000.
Nice.
So not only would you have left with, well, let's see, if I do the math, that's $5,000 in win money. 4,000. Sorry, 4,000. No, 5,000. I did that right.
Yeah,
4 races, $1,250. That's 5,000. You're going to leave with an additional 2,000. So plus the $1,000 points fund. Because if you swept all wheat, you won the thing. Sorry, I'm getting excited. That's a potential $8,000 over 4 nights. Just 4 nights. $8,000, and it costs you $75 to pre-register and a $35 pit pass a night.
It's pretty badass. That's and it's a holiday weekend for crying out loud. Come on.
Exactly.
Right?
You get Monday off.
Yeah. Hell, these
Get
people
the party.
don't work.
Well, I think it was cool to see the series working together because you mentioned Stems, Rodney, and Stems rearranged their schedule to race on Sunday at the race ranch so that their cars, guys, gals, competitors could race in this All-Star Tour. And you talk about some heavy hitters and some windshield miles. If you start the tour at Southern Oklahoma Speedway, and then you end up Sunday night down at South Texas the South Texas Race Ranch, that's a lot of windshield time. But that shows dedication. You throw in the money you can get from Stems. You sweep all 5-6 races, you're taking home a boatload of cash. So it's good to see. It's good to see KR and the gang over at Stems working with the All-Star Tour. So I thought that was a good thing to have, and hopefully it's reciprocal where some of those guys will come down and race Corpus there on that Sunday.
Yes, I'm very happy. Me and Kevin had back in January had kind of talked about the scheduling. Because I'd seen the STEM schedule, just like any normal racer. I'm looking at schedules when they come out. Well, traditionally this race is on this weekend, but because they hadn't really formulated any announcements or anything, there wasn't really anything out that said the tour is running that Saturday. Unless you went and looked at the racetrack's individual schedule, you might not have known it. Me and him had talked, and at that time I was just talking as a racer, a fan, had no idea that 4 months down the road, I'm going to get a call from IMCA and said, hey, we're looking for a promoter on the tour. Would you like to take that? Call it divine, whatever, just coincidental. But the moment it was that I was given the opportunity to do this, I think it was literally the next day I got a call from KR saying he wanted to work on getting that schedule revised. Excuse me.
See, that's what happens when you get excited. That's what happens.
Sorry. Well, I was sick all weekend.
Oh. See that? See what promoters go through. I mean, just to put on these things for you people. Come on now.
I literally skipped work at Waco Friday night because I was sick. And and I'm a typical guy. I'm not sick unless I'm really sick.
That's I feel you. Yes, absolutely.
So, of course, the wife again. You're a sissy.
No, I know. Yes.
But,
I know. I went through birth. I did this. I did that. Yes, I know. But I feel like
it was a good conversation with me and KR, and we've had multiple conversations since getting that schedule working with them, and even talking about future. Again, we both want to kind of get through our seasons or our tours, but potentially working together, the two in line next year. So, lots of conversation. You're fine. Miss Nikki.
Sorry.
Hey, Nikki.
Hi, Nikki.
Hey, that's okay. You can interrupt.
And so, but yes, KR's been great, and super helpful. We've had, like I said, lots of conversations. And so, it was really nice of him and Owen, really. Again, that falls on Owen down there. And Owen's a big part of ours. I always do this. I even do it at the Baby Blue. On-demand shirts. Yeah. They made our shirts. 317 Awards. Owen does our trophies. For whatever reason, I always forget those two because they are partners. They're just not ones I put on my list because I'm not actually ever getting money from. But I do get assistance, from them. On Demand always sponsors the artwork, and gives us a great deal on shirts. Let alone, you can't. Their work is just phenomenal.
It's amazing, right?
They make us look good.
Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah,
that's hard to do.
Yes, exactly. I think there's their logo up in the right hand.
Look at that.
So, and then Owen, another great partner, makes fantastic trophies. I'm an old school guy. I like trophies. I like having that hardware sit in the house, looking at it and be like, yeah, I mean, I Rodney, the one I won in 2022 on this tour in the stock car still sits in my office. I look at it, I still get excited, and it's just, that's, to me, I old fashioned. I just love what a trophy that brings to me. I would hope it does the same to other people, and so, but Owen makes great trophies, brings a modern style to them, not a old fashioned, just, two post with a plastic, race car on top, but he does a really good job. And the short time frame that we had to get shirts and trophies, both of them knocked it out of the park. Coming up with designs and getting them made, getting them out the door, getting them here on time. I mean, fantastic job by both On Demand and 317.
Yeah, absolutely. Great partners of this program. They have been for a long time, and really good folks right there. So it fires off tomorrow, right there where Marcus is at Southern Oklahoma Speedway. And again, those are qualifying races for stock cars and modifieds. That's the other part right there, to where I think that's going to really bring people in. And then with just kind of the condensed, we say condensed mileage. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. So you've got that, and then Grayson County on Thursday, Heart of Texas Speedway in Waco on Friday, and then it wraps up back at KSP on Saturday. All of that happening right there. Marcus, where do folks get information on how to be a part of this besides knowing where to go? Those are the days.
Those are the dates. Those are the tracks. That's what we want the most. But if you can't be at the track, IMCA TV, IMCA.tv. That's our broadcaster, our streaming partner. Those races are there. I believe right now you can go ahead and get them. I'm not even giving you a price because I haven't looked. But go to IMCA TV. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/All-Star Shootout. You can go to our MRP page at myracepass.com/All-Star Shootout and see all the results and lineups, what drivers are here, and how they're doing, what the points look like, and everything on both of those. We'll post them on our Facebook. They'll be on our MRP. And again, if you can't be at the track, watch us on IMCA TV. But we'd love to see you here. I'd love to come and thank you, shake your hand, appreciate you being here. It's a different role for me. I won't be in the tower. I don't know where I'm going to be yet, but I'll be around, and I'm going to meet people. I'm going to greet people. I'm going to thank them, whether they're a driver or a fan, and all these crew. I mean, these guys. These track guys here, they've been out working this track all day. Like I said, they had tornado warnings and even some touchdowns in the Oklahoma area last night. And they've been working this track to getting it to perfection. And man, it's making me jelly, guys. I'm like, can I be a promoter and a race car driver at the same time?
Of course you can. Nothing to it. Nothing to it.
Yeah,
do it. Yeah, do it.
Race Seaver in one ear, radio track in the other. Hey, black flag that guy in front of me.
That's when I was announcing and racing. They're like, we need to mic you up in the car. I'm like, you don't want to hear what I'm talking about when I'm on the track.
No.
You do not want to hear that. It's not G-rated. So. Good luck, man. Congratulations. I know it's going to be a great series. Seriously, tell your three winners, tell your three champions that they're obliged to be on this damn show next Tuesday, and we'll get in here and break it all down. And, dude, keep slaying, dude. Looking forward to it.
I appreciate it. Hey, one other thing before I forget, because this was took place today at my meeting at Smiley's. And we'll broadcast it again later tonight, actually probably right after we're done here. Any driver that is pre-registered or registers to race at either the first 2 nights, so at SOS or Grayson, because the way the mapping works, you'd go right back through Dallas. Any driver that stops by Smiley's on Friday on their way down to Waco gets 10% off of anything in the store, with the exception of fuel and tires. Anything else, you want a brand new suit, brand new seat, helmet, you need a stack of whatever it is, 10% off. Matthew's going to take care of any driver is registered for the tour, either pre-registered or registered for nightly for the 2 nights before. And stop by, get you a discount on some products that you know you need, and get it from someone that's supporting not just you, but supports everybody week in and week out over at Smiley's and Mesquite.
It's good stuff. Good stuff.
Nice.
Take advantage of that. All right, Marcus. Good luck, my man.
Thanks, guys. And again, as always, it's a pleasure to be on here with you too. Both Rodney and Bobby, y'all are fantastic. I do enjoy watching y'all. Sometimes y'all get a little too far into that asphalt world. But hey, I was a big I know you're trying to kick me off, but I was a Cars Tour supporter this weekend.
How about that?
And I was listening to what y'all were saying, and I was really happy to hear them talk about everything else going on. I didn't even know there was a modified race on Flow until they were talking about it. And I'm like, well, shoot, I always like watching those. I mean, they're bad to the bone.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's big balls right there with those guys.
Yeah. Love you guys. Thank y'all. Always a pleasure.
Good luck, man. We'll check in with you.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
All right, dude. Take care. There he goes, live on the scene right there. And that's the best part, because I heard cars in the background there a couple of different times. So, man, I think that tour is going to be pretty damn awesome. I think weather's going to hold out everything. I'm going to TMS for work, and I'm going to be there Friday evening and Saturday, and I've kind of been checking out weather. I'm shagging ass, in your words, out of there early Sunday morning. I think they may get some stuff on Sunday up there.
Yeah, but, Sunday into Mondays. Last I saw, it's going to start raining. So
yeah. So I think the tour's going to be all right, man. Pretty excited. He's a little jacked up. It sounds like
he's still excited for it. I mean, when you throw on the promoter hat at the last minute and finally get a chance to make it work, that's the way it works, right? Every time you ever try to step away from this stuff, the next time you step in, you're knee deeper than you were before.
Yeah, every damn time. I mean, that's exactly how that stuff works. So great conversation right there with Marcus Hartgrove. It is the 5th annual All-Star Shootout. Again, that kicks off tomorrow right there where he's at, Southern Oklahoma Speedway in Ardmore, Oklahoma, Grayson County Speedway on Thursday, Heart of Texas Speedway in Waco on Friday, and then it all finishes up at Kennedale Speedway Park. That is on Saturday. Be sure to check that out. IMCA TV is your spot for that. We'll take a quick break, come back, and then we're diving in. We got to talk some Wilkesboro, got to talk some All-Star, and we got to talk about the Indianapolis 500. All of that is coming up on a live Tuesday episode of #Real Race Talk. Yes, we see the comments about Prime. We'll talk about that. It is the Revved Up Sports Show.
5-star bodies, the most advanced bodies on the market, aerodynamically engineered, manufactured from the highest grade and lightest weight materials, tested tough for optimum performance, the highest quality and most durable products you'll find anywhere. Our products help racers around the world reach victory lane. Winning never looked so good. Faster, lighter, stronger, better. 5-star.
Looking to start a new career path in motorsports or searching for something new in your racing journey? Racer Jobs is your destination for providing the most current job openings from top racing teams, manufacturers, sanctioning bodies, and suppliers. Whether you're a budding race engineer, a seasoned mechanic, or a marketing ace, we consistently refresh our listings with new roles that could meet your ambitions. Looking for a great candidate as an employer? Then tap into our Racer Jobs audience and database to find that perfect candidate.
Absolutely. Check that out. If you're in the market right there, they will find something for you. I kind of look at that every now and then just to see what's going on. So racerjobs.com. All right, Bobby, here we go. We kind of touched on Wilkesboro right there and all the different things that were going on. Now the question is, do you get a points race and all this, that, and the other? So I would love your thoughts, because I think had Joey Logano won that All-Star race, I think that I thought it was a good race. I mean, I thought it was a really good race. Again, in my opinion, this car is not the best one to be running at a short track. It's not built for this. It's not made for that. But I think if Logano wins that race, we may have a different idea on, man, well, the race was shitty or whatever. But you get that done. Christopher Bell wins, and I think it's very fitting that a short track guy wins that. I mean, it kind of ties everything together. But now with the whole question of, okay, it needs a points race. Where are you going to run the All-Star race if you move that? And do you think that you need to have a 400 lap race at Wilkesboro right now?
Well, the biggest problem that you're going to have is, like you said, where do you move the All-Star race? Although the All-Star race, I think, has run its point. I've said on this show multiple times, the NASCAR All-Star race doesn't make sense because you didn't get to see anybody special that you can't see any other week.
Exactly.
Well, I don't understand the All-Star race. You know, when you get to come in and you get to see the Kyle Larsons of the world every single week, you get to see William Byrons and Chase Elliott's and Ross Chastain's and all those guys. Every single guy that started that 23 car main event for the All-Star race that paid $1 million is in your normal average everyday cup race, except for Burton.
Right.
Different story, right?
Right.
So that's the question: is, does the All-Star race matter? You know, okay, inflation-wise, it's paid $1 million to win since 2004.
And I've heard rumblings that people are bitching about that part too.
Yeah,
I mean,
they say inflation that it should pay about $2 to $3 million to win now.
Mhm.
Don't think that's going to happen. So that's the problem is do you move the All-Star race? You need to have it. I think just because it's been happening for almost 30 years or 35 years rather, that you're going to continue to have the All-Star race. Question is, where do you have it? Next question is, if you continue to have the All-Star race and you want Wilkesboro to be a points race and the All-Star race not be at Wilkesboro, that points race has to come from somewhere. SMI only has 2 tracks that have multiple dates. One is Bristol with 2 dates. One is Charlotte with 2 dates. Everybody else that is an SMI affiliated track only ends up having 1 date a year. So a lot of people said, take the race from Texas, take it back to North Wilkesboro. After Texas delivered last time, I don't think that's going to happen. Somebody said, get COTA out of the mix. COTA was a very competitive race. I think as much as your hardcore fans and your old school NASCAR fan gets alienated by road course racing, I think, not just because it's in my backyard, I think NASCAR has to race at COTA because it's the racetrack that Formula One races at. I think NASCAR has to. I think NASCAR needs COTA more than COTA needs NASCAR. In that aspect. So you got to figure, where's that extra race coming from? I got a feeling if it's not coming from Nashville, because that race is packed, they got their date from Dover. There's another one. If Dover's not all that competitive, you could lose that race. You know, that's a legacy race. Same thing with New Hampshire. If it's not packed, think about that. I wouldn't put it past them to take the race from Bristol and move it to Wilkesboro, because that attendance at Bristol was horrible and that race was shitty.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this car doesn't race well at Bristol. I mean, and you can attribute that to, changes in whatever, whatever the case is, the changes that have been made at Wilkes have made that a better race. And COTA is the one. I'm glad you mentioned that, because COTA is the one that I keep hearing that could be the one that gets thrown out. But I think for the reasons that you mentioned right there, I think the Austin market, look, I live in it. I live in it every freaking day. And I think that market is very important, because this town drastically changes when NASCAR comes in, not like it does with Formula One, but you cannot get rid of that race. And the whole thing is, I think with COTA is that race, the attendance, and it's one of those things, like if you have, like when we go back to the Brickyard, if you're going to have the Brickyard, the place is not going to look full. But you and I have both been at COTA, and I think this year was a prime example to where, yeah, maybe you look around the front stretch grandstands and all that, and it does look a little desolate over there. But you look around the backside, You look in turn one. Most importantly, you look in the camping areas and the infield, or whatever you call the infield there. That shit was jammed. This place solidified itself as a spot on the Cup Series. And Texas did the same thing a couple of weeks ago. That place looked amazing. So it's going to have to come from one of those places. I am totally with you that I think the All-Star race it's a sham in my opinion. You know, with all the, you can talk about Pro Bowls and NBA All-Star games and all these different things. None of these All-Star exhibitions that you see do other people get a chance to get into the show. You know what I mean? It's like, these are the All-Stars. This is what you're coming to see. You don't have an open where two guys get in. The fans get to pick. Noah Gragson shouldn't have been in that race. I love Noah Gragson. He's a good dude. He shouldn't be in that race.
It's like the year Josh Berry, or not Josh, Josh, the
Sims?
guy with the guy with the dog with the Bitcoin sponsorship, Josh Wise.
Yeah.
That year Josh Wise got in because all the internet nerds are voting for him, and he got in on the popular vote. So here, let me just rant for a minute. Because you mentioned Texas being full, and I said this on Facebook. I think I said it on your Facebook page, but I'm going to go on record as saying it on the show.
Are you why I got banned? Come on, man.
No, because it's my comment, not yours. No, mine.
Okay.
It's mine.
Oh,
In regards to the people bitching at these racetracks about taking out seats and covering up seats, the problem is the days of 200,000 people at a racetrack are over unless it's the Indianapolis 500. That's it. Except for a few major heavyweight college football games and some diehard college football fan bases, most of your college football games are not sellouts. Same thing with your NFL, minus a couple of high-profile matches. Your NFL games are not sellouts. We shouldn't focus on how many seats are gone. What we need to focus on, we don't need to give a shit about how many seats are gone. We need to care about the fact if there's 50,000 seats at a venue and they sell out all 50,000 seats, that's a 50,000 seat sellout. I don't give a shit how many seats used to be there. If they sold 50,000 tickets and they sold out 50,000 seats, that's a sellout.
Yeah.
And 50,000 people is still a hell of a lot of people at a race on a weekend, because there's still some people that just go to camp that don't even try to get in.
Yeah. In 2023, what the NFL, 18 games. So you can factor this out however you want to. Do your own math. I'm just going to give you some facts right here. So let's say the average NFL team has, I don't know what, 9 home games,
at least
depending
9,
how that works. And that's at one part of the year where NASCAR goes February to the middle of November, essentially is what they're doing. The average NFL attendance was 69,555 people. NASCAR usually gets that. They usually get that, whether you take seats out, no matter what the history is, everything you're talking about right there. Major League Baseball that plays 160 games in 2023, their average fan attendance across the board, whether you're the Yankees all the way down to the lowly ass Tampa Bay, whatever they're called right now, they're trying to 29,295 people.
And NASCAR will squash that usually on a weekend.
They kill that. The NHL, hockey, again, smaller, confined, whatever, 18,000 people, 17,099. MLS, soccer is massive. You know, it's the world's new whatever. In 2023, they averaged 22,170 fans per match. And all of those leagues that we're talking about are seasonal. The average NASCAR racetrack attendance was 67,000 people in 2023. And most of the time, those cup races are not sold out. And that seems to be what gets people all generated and fired up, is like when NASCAR says, no more seats available. I don't care who gets them. I don't care if it's hospitality. I don't care if it's Joe Blow down the street. I don't care if some dickweed buying them for whoever. They are sold out. They are sold out. And that's what people need to realize. In your words, that the 200,000 days are gone. There's too many other things to consume right now. That time has passed.
But NASCAR is usually the highest rated property on sports weekends, not including NFL.
And you know what, Bobby? Go to your local short track. And, it's other than like you're talking about World of Outlaws, high limits, dirt late models, and not so much on the asphalt, though snowball derby. I mean, your local asphalt track, it ain't going to sit 5,000 people. It ain't full either.
No.
Some of these places don't even sit 1,000 people. It's not even close to being full. So this whole thing about, well, look at the stands, fuck the stands. You know what I mean? It's, those are just hardcore numbers right there. That's what we are living in right now.
That's because the days of the 200,000 people are over, because if you watch the NASCAR Tubi channel and see those bold ass races, 20 years and under, those pictures weren't worth a shit.
Yeah.
Fuzzy at the time, we thought they were great, fuzzy and out of focus and all that good stuff. Now with the event of 4K, you can sit at home, drink cheaper beer, have a cheaper ticket. Now, does it replace being there at the racetrack? Absolutely not. It does not. Does it beat the sound, the smells, the sunburn, all that good shit? No, it does not. But it's a whole lot easier to consume from the couch, which is funny because people will bitch about a NASCAR crowd not being full, but yet they'll sit there and drink beer all day in front of an NFL game and not say shit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And kind of the whole thought with that is to Wilkesboro. I sat and watched today on Tubi, because that really is a cool thing. I mean, you want to talk about being distracted in the middle of the day when you're trying to do work. You turn that on, and they were showing Wilkesboro races today from, I think it was 91, 92, that era. And the racing was good, but they were kind of showing some of the mid-pack stuff. And this is where I go back to where people are setting expectations right now to where you need to have a cup race there. You need to be a points paying race, 400 laps or whatever. How do you think that race, that's a 250 lap race that we saw on Saturday or Sunday night. You double that distance, you're going to get some of the same stuff that we bitch about, to where it's spread out. There's no yellows.
There's no promoter's caution at a 400 lap cup race.
Now there's my problem with Sunday. That's where I could have been like, okay, we could have done that. The whole build up to it, to where it's like Marcus Smith is going to do this. And then I see Michael Waltrip going up there. I'm like, oh Lord.
If he doesn't clown around with that, does that make it any better?
No, you just don't let him do that. I mean, he's not, kind of, his reputation is kind of the clown. I mean, he does it. He's very knowledgeable. I mean, he knows what he does, but he's just kind of the clown, these days, to where with the grid walk. And
I can't stand the grid walk. I hate that segment.
That needs to go. I mean, that really needs to go.
Only Formula One needs the grid walk.
Yes, with somebody like Martin Brundle doing it, not Mikey Waltrip. And I get that they were trying to be nostalgic about him winning that race in '96 and so forth and so on. But I would have handled that different, because that was my only. When he goes rolling up there and he's standing up there, I'm like, okay, this is going to turn into a clown show. And then that was my only problem with all of that, to be honest with you. But this is where I go back to, do you really want to move that race? Because I think if you make it a points paying race with 400 laps, you're susceptible to getting into maybe some of because you're not going to see them chasing like they were doing on Sunday night, to where it's like 250 laps. You got to go. So I think it could turn into a regular race. So I don't know. All-star race, Charlotte, I guess. I mean,
well, I don't know. Well, we all know as soon as they announced they're going to Canada that Iowa's gone.
Yeah.
Iowa's just a placeholder.
Yeah.
Iowa's just a placeholder for Montreal.
Yeah. I mean, I think honestly what needs to happen is, I heard somebody talking about this today while I was out driving. I kind of heard bits and pieces of it on the Sirius channel, to where it's like, you kind of just really need one exhibition race. Get rid of the Clash or get rid of the All-Star race. And I think the All-Star race, to be honest with you, I mean, it's kind of pointless. I mean, everybody shouldn't get a chance to be in that. It's like if you and I went in this fan vote thing that they're doing for this factory stock thing with all this money that's going to be paid. If you and I had a chance to get into that race, I mean, we don't race factory stocks. Who the fuck are we?
Yeah, we don't deserve to be in that race.
Right. And that's kind of what this All-Star thing has turned into. And I'd be like, let's kind of get rid of that. If you want to do an All-Star thing, give them the week off, let them go to Charlotte and do something. Put them on go-karts. Fuck, I don't know what you do, but don't let all of them do it. Don't let,
I mean, that's the way the Busch Clash used to be. You didn't get in it unless you won a pole. Some years there were 9 cars at the Busch Clash at Daytona.
7, 8, 9, 10 guys. I mean, 20 lap sprint is what that used to be. And then they started expanding that thing. And I get that. I mean, I totally get that with the money part and the TV part. And that's kind of the other question that came up right there about Prime. I mean, come on, man. Most people have Prime. I was looking at a discussion today on Facebook to where it's like, I'm not going to be able to watch a race. And I responded to a guy. I'm like, do you order shit from Amazon? Oh yeah, all the time. I'm like, odds are you can watch this race. you just have to click a few more times and you can watch this race.
Here, I'm just going to look it up right now. How many people have Amazon Prime in the United States? Amazon Prime has over 220 million subscribers worldwide.
Yeah.
There are 180.1 Amazon Prime users in the United States.
Pretty easy to watch that race, right?
I mean, a hell of a lot of people to have access to watch that race.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And everybody, I don't want to pay for it. If you've been watching that shit on FS1, you've been paying for it. If you watch that shit on USA or used to watch it on ESPN back in the heyday of the 80s, ESPN wasn't free.
No.
It was part of your cable package. You had to pay for that shit back then too. TBS, ESPN, TNN, who else would TNT, whoever it was all part of basic cable and you had to pay for that shit. You've ever since they started running flag to flag races, except if it was on one of the 4 big networks, 3 for a long time. Or mainly 2, ABC and CBS, you had to pay to watch NASCAR. It's not a new thing. It's just a different way of doing it.
Yeah. And it's like when people say, you know, I want to watch it on free TV. Ain't no free. You got to buy a freaking converter. You got to buy that converter box. I mean, shit, that ain't free to watch channel 7, 24, 36, 12, 4, whatever, wherever you live. I mean, ain't nothing free anymore. And that's where, and so many people that I read and talk to and all these different things. It's like, well, you know, I don't want to pay for this extra stuff like you're talking about, Bobby. It's like, but at the same time, they have Flow. They have Dirt Vision. They
Racing America. They'll pay for IMCA TV to watch the All-Star Tour, but then they'll bitch about you're Amazon Prime.
Paying all these different things. And it's like, man, nothing is free. If you're wanting something free, it ain't going to work. The antenna thing doesn't work out anymore. And that's where these keyboard people get out of control, Bobby.
Here's another thing. How big is Amazon Prime in the United States? Industry sources estimate that this year, roughly 75% of all U.S. Amazon shoppers were Prime members. Yes, that's all Amazon shoppers are Prime members. I get that. And not everybody shops from Amazon, but there's a hell of a lot of people that do. If you're not shopping from Amazon, I don't know how you're getting some of your stuff.
I ain't been to a Walmart in years. I haven't been to a Target in years. I saw Gracie Hunt on a Target commercial today, and I'm like, well, maybe I need to go to Target. But then I found something I wanted on Amazon. I'm like, she's not going to be at Amazon.
It'll be here in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah. She ain't going to be at Target in Round Rock. So I ain't going. And this all goes back to the keyboard stuff. Tony Stewart won again this week, and he talked about keyboard warriors.
I make a big mistake of reading social media, which I think we all make very vital, critical mistakes by reading the keyboard warriors that are dumbasses that sit in their mother's basements and don't do a damn thing and haven't accomplished anything in their life and tell you how bad you are at what you do. But they can't tell you to their face. I've never stood at the ropes and anybody come up there and go, you really are bad at this, and you should put your wife in the car. But I read it on the internet that why is he driving the car? His wife's way better. She almost won a world championship. Well, now they can kiss my ass. They literally can kiss my ass, and I'll sit there and stick it out for them too. Because they don't do a damn thing. They've never accomplished anything in their life. They don't know how to work hard to be successful in anything. That's why they say the shit they say on the internet. And to sit there and have to fight and prove these people wrong, that's the pride I take now. Because this is for all those people that say that I suck, I'm no good, I'm terrible, I've never been anything. This is for all those people. They don't have anything to show for it. I got 2 silver wallies this year to show for it.
There you go. And that's not AI. That is Tony Stewart.
That is
right there.
Prime time Tony Stewart. And points leader too in Top Fuel now. It's only by like, a handful of points, but he's points leader. How cool is that? You've got an Indy champion, a NASCAR champion, and an NHRA winner. That is pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, that story's not getting the run that it should, honestly, in my opinion, with everything that he's doing. And I think that it's even more impressive right now. I think with what Kyle Larson is doing and about to do, with the double coming up, and we'll talk 500 here in just a minute. But it's like, I mean, you look at this right here, because that is a whole different discipline. I mean, Tony's done it, like you're talking about, when you come to stock cars, and then you go to road courses and dirt, sprint cars and midgets and all that. That's one thing. But when you dive into, I'm not the biggest drag racing fan of them all. I mean, to me, it's a little boring, to be honest with you. But when you strap it to that, it'd be one thing if he was in a pro stock. That's where I'd be like, well, shit. I mean, whatever.
Roll cage, stock body looking body thing.
Yeah, anybody can do that. Shit, I could do that. Keyboard warrior, by the way. But man, that's the biggest balls of them all. And this guy's won 2 championships or 2, Wallies, and now he's a point leader. Pretty damn impressive for an old guy at that. He's old. He's my age.
It's that baby making him feel younger,
I guess. And that wife that he talked about. Yeah, I mean, something. But yeah, the Wilkesboro thing, I don't know. I mean, make it a point race. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that. But then what do you do with the All-Star thing? I think that's kind of the next question that happens right there. I mean, do you take that race international, and who do you steal it from? Who do you take it from? I mean, don't take it from Texas. I mean, I think Texas is on the right path, but hell, let's just add another date. You know what?
What do you do with Chicago? Is Chicago going to be a 4th-year option track? Are they going to take that street course concept somewhere? I heard rumblings that they want to take that to San Diego.
I heard San Diego, and then I heard today that possibly they go back to Chicagoland, back to the Oval, because it's not that far off. So, but again, that's where NASCAR, when you talk about them with everything that they're doing, I mean, that's more money they have to invest. But I think, as it was well said today, I think it was Bianchi that said it, to where it's like, okay, do you want to invest $5 million to get that street course put together, or figure out a way to get Chicagoland back in order? So
you're going to spend more than $5 million to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Chicagoland was gone already. I thought it was I know Auto Club and Fontana's gone, but I thought Chicagoland was already gone, eaten up by a warehouse.
No. Apparently it's in pretty good shape. Apparently it's not that far off. I mean, I think it may be one of those things to just get it back to 2025 standards. When it comes to safety, and they'd probably have to deck out garages and do all that shit for these folks to get back in there. But I don't know. I mean, again, I think that's an important market, as much as people don't want to admit it. And just like I'm saying that Austin is an important market, not quite to the stature of, California, Chicago, and maybe New York. I mean, I think that you have to incorporate that Chicago part being kind of right there in the central part of the United States for NASCAR. It's
a big Midwest market.
It absolutely
media
is.
Market wise, look it up. It's in the top 6 as far as major media markets, not just in population, but in terms of major media market. You have to be in Chicago. There's certain markets you have to stay in. That's another reason why TMS, I think, is somewhat safe on the calendar, because the DFW market is such a huge media market for NASCAR.
Yeah. You're not going to get TMS out of there. I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons why, and I think simply the fact that they're that the track is kind of coming together. Finally, I think that only bolsters that. But you're not gonna. It's gonna take a pretty big deal to get that out of there, and I don't think that any of these other options would be that. And again, I think that the street course will go. Where it goes, I don't know. I'd be perfectly fine if they added an oval back. I don't think we need a street course, but that's just kind of my opinion. Big markets, Indianapolis. What a weekend there at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We've watched massive wrecks. We've watched great stories. And Bobby, I'm a little concerned again, now that you have, Roger Penske with Indianapolis Motor Speedway and everything that's going on right there. And now with this, what you have with the disqualification or the, what do they call them? Attenuators and all this stuff going on. We're going down a familiar path, Bobby. We've seen CART and USAC split. We've seen IRL. We've seen all these different things. I think that as IndyCar's kind of getting some momentum. This right here, you got to be careful, man. This is a little bit of that whole family thing. It's kind of getting a little sketchy to me with some shit that's going on.
So here's my couple of takes on this. Number one, if it was that damn important and that damn big, they should have caught it in 2024, because apparently the 2024 car has the exact same thing on it.
Thank you, Marshall Pruitt. Only helping things, right?
That's right. That's right. And if they didn't catch it last year, then they're talking about vacating wins like a college football team has to do. Bullshit. If they didn't catch it in Tech last year, then it wasn't illegal. The problem is now is it's not a, it is point blank. It's not a good look. It's not a good look at all for Team Penske and Roger Penske.
Nope.
The only thing that makes it a good look is that the series caught it. That's the only thing that makes the series look good, is that the series caught it. Now, heads will roll at Penske. Despite the fact that some of these guys got suspended by IndyCar, will miss the 500, some of these guys will be given pink slips by Roger Penske and tell them to kiss his ass and bye.
Yep.
I think the days of Tim Cindric running Penske are done. I think this after that whole fiasco with Scott McLaughlin, Joseph Newgarden there at St. Pete a couple of years ago.
That's the other part. This is second time.
Yeah, like that deal. You're going to see heads roll at Penske. Now, do I think that they intentionally? I mean, I guess obviously they intentionally did it if it's there, right? But you can't necessarily.
They pulled the cars out of line.
Yeah, they pulled the cars out of line. Took the shit off the car before it became a big problem. But I think when it comes to integrity in motorsports, I can't think of a more integrity. What's the word I'm looking for? More integral. A person with more integrity than Roger Penske.
I agree, but the whole thing is now.
But he's a racer.
He's too bound into this shit. I mean, it's a thing that we talk about all the time on the short track stuff, to where it's like the promoter's kid is racing, whether it was intentional or not. I mean, it's like, well, he owns the speedway, he runs the series. I mean, all of it. If you don't know what's going on, here's Kevin Blanch from IndyCar talking about why the Penske 12-2 didn't fail. They chose to pull themselves out of line on Sunday before the Fast 12.
Can you elaborate on why the two Team Penske cars pulled out of line?
Well, there was a body fit violation on the rear attenuator. So as quick as this process happens, we ran them through tech. We got everybody in line, and then right near the end or prior to qualifying, they decided.
Guilty.
Can you elaborate on-
Guilty. Which... And that is a whole thing where, to your point, shame on IndyCar that car's sitting at the museum and they didn't catch that last year. But I guess that doesn't matter right now, I guess.
No, it should matter now. I mean, 2024 is done. And granted, the Penske cars have been fast, but if it really made that big of a difference, in my pink radiator cap scenario, I get that it doesn't, unless the rules say you can't have a pink radiator cap. If somebody kicks your ass with a pink radiator cap, next week you're getting a pink radiator cap. I mean, if it was Chip Ganassi doing it, it's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But since it's Roger Penske's team's doing it, and he owns the series and owns the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it just puts not a good look. I wouldn't call it a black eye. I think it's more of a gut punch for the series.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, shit, this doesn't, somebody from the outside looking in, what are they going to talk? They should be right now talking about three things at Indianapolis. They should be talking about the spectacle of the race, number one. They should be talking about the rookie pole sitter with a rookie team and not a single oval start for this cat that's going to start on the pole. And then they should be talking about the possibility of carnage and mayhem come Sunday.
Yeah.
Only thing they're going to be talking, that's the three things they should be talking about come Sunday. The only thing they're going to be talking about all damn day is going to be the Penske cars and that attenuator bullshit.
Yeah. And the natives are restless. That's the whole thing about it. I mean, you've got people within the series that are now, kind of calling Penske out. I mean, Pato O'Ward talking about the Penske problems.
I mean, they weren't accidentally doing it because they had the blowtorch right there in order to get it out. So, I honestly feel for Abel and for everybody that did the disqualifications or the last chance qualifying. If those cars weren't in regulations, I'm not an engineer, so I can't tell you what they were doing, how much speed that is, or if it is any speed. But obviously, it's not in regulation, and the rule is pretty black and white. And those cars should have been in the last chance qualifier. Like those cars should have never. Obviously, they didn't do anything in the Fast 12, but they should have been brought into the LCQ because they had that yesterday. I guarantee you, and really, because I don't think they don't need to be doing that stuff. Like they're a great team.
Yeah. So
he's not wrong.
No, not at all. And I mean, I think that's where it just kind of seems like the whole everything with IndyCar. It's like you take a step forward and 3 steps back. That old country song, that we've heard so many different times with IndyCar, and it is where it's going to be this black cloud hanging over everything to where that is the story going into Sunday. And with Schwartzman, to me, that's my concern. I'm like, that dude's on the pole. I'm like, he's going to bring the field down. I mean, we've watched
not a single oval start, and this dude's going to bring him down on the pole.
Yeah, and I mean, we see how the 500 starts to where they start stretching out, and cars don't get started. I mean, I was kind of not laughing. I was joking around the other day on the modified race with Corey LaJoy when he didn't get going. I said, "There's Kevin Coogan right there." That's what I think could happen on Sunday, Bobby, with this guy with with Taku in the middle and then Pato on the outside. It's like, man, we could get 2 cars taken out right here with this dude. But the story's going to be, Penske's doing whatever they're doing. So,
it's funny though, as much as I love the they call it the greatest spectacle in racing because it is. The tradition, the back home in Indiana, the balloon release, the shotguns, the driver introductions, all that. For everything that Indianapolis does great, to me, the single biggest weakness in the Indianapolis 500 is the start. Because they don't line up to start 3 wide for shit.
No. It's horrible. They need to watch our dirt car friends. That's how you do that. And that's what I'm talking about right here. I mean, the way they spread out, I'm like, I'm really concerned here. I mean, I'm sure that, Schwartzman, driver out of Israel, he was hauling ass. Was he 232, almost 233? I mean, that's great. I mean, Takuma Sato. And that's one of the things, when it comes to Indianapolis, I mean, I always love the stories right here because like Takuma Sato, he doesn't run the full thing, but this guy shows up, whatever he's in, he's going to be a factor. I mean, I thought he was going to sit on the pole. You got Pato on the outside, that second row with Dixon, Rosenquist, and Alex Palou. Alex Palou is going to win this. I mean, no matter what happens, he's going to win. They could take him out on the first lap. He's still going to win. He wins everything.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, the sad part is, though, and it's the same thing we've been discussing over various shows, both this one and the old FM show. It's the same thing we've been discussing for years, is who, except for your diehard racing fans that follow IndyCar, know who the hell Alex Palou is.
I know, right?
He was that guy on the Fox commercial, but so was Joseph Newgarden and Pato O'Ward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fox is doing all that they can to drive Alex Palou down our throat to make him kind of the personality, which he should be. I mean, you look at the body of work and everything that he's done. I mean, that is a guy that we should know. Joseph Newgarden is a guy that we should know. And I think honestly with Fox, and it is, you text me the other day. I mean, Fox is really selling out to the 500, which they should. I mean, it's the greatest spectacle now. They're saying in sports, they're saying now, which it is that big. But as much as they're doing here with all the FS2 coverage, and I mean, every day last week, damn near, they were on live TV, and that's great. That race deserves that.
Yeah, better than Peacock last year.
Yeah. I mean, no offense to Alex Palou or any of these guys. Joseph Newgarden is especially being a back-to-back champion. The dude's from North Carolina. That's a guy that they should be shoving down people's throat that's going to relate a little bit better, in my opinion. And I mean, that's just logistical. I mean, people are going to relate better to this guy. I mean, you see him out and about at hockey games and basketball games and NASCAR races. That's a guy I think that you would sell a little bit better. He's honed better at his craft, I think. And I think that would be better, but it's going to be a great audience. The 500 is everything that it always is, but it is, man. You got a black cloud hanging over this, and I do really worry that here we go again with open wheel down this road. It's always been events. Remember, I talked about that on the Lost Speedways thing, to where it's like you had with the Cosworth engine and all of that in '78 that it caused that, and then you had with the split with Tony George and there was that event that kind of made things go the wrong way. I just hope that isn't where IndyCar is going now. I don't mean to be Katie bar the door, but it's just a progression. It seems like, and I hope this doesn't ruin open wheel racing. You remember that one year when they had the freaking race at Michigan on the day of the 500?
On the same day as the 500, and they wrecked going to turn one right at the start. Yeah, I remember that.
Jeez Louise. So
imagine though, in a world where the Indy 500 and the Coke 600 are on the same channel.
Right.
We want to get started with the whole Amazon Prime discussion again. But imagine living in a world with the Indy 500 and the Coke 600 on the same channel. Imagine if they were both on Fox.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how about that?
That's like having the Super Bowl and Game 7 of the World Series on back to back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's really, and it's funny that this is kind of happening now, to where I know it's not a Fox thing, but just think about, you were talking about it last week, toward next year, everything really changes when Monaco's not a part of this.
Nope, that's going to suck. Everybody needs to enjoy this last complete day of slackness in front of the damn television, because next year you ain't going to get to do it. You ain't going to be able to have no mimosas and screwdrivers next year.
Yeah.
Because Monaco for like the next 4 years is going to be the weekend after Memorial Day.
Yeah. And that's where,
it still doesn't sound right. Formula One has to be more self-aware than that.
You have to.
Because there's more people that wake up on this race day and watch Formula One, despite the race is going to suck. They're not going to pass. The cars are too fast. The cars are too big for Monaco. All that stuff. People get up and watch Monaco because it's Monaco and it's part of a race day tradition. You get up, you eat breakfast and mimosas with the Formula One crowd. That's over from about 8 to 10. Then 10 o'clock, you start turning over to the coverage of the Indianapolis 500 as it reaches its peak with the driver introductions, the balloon release, the back home in Indiana. That goes on from about 10 to about 3-ish.
Yeah.
Then you got enough time to go hit the facilities, fire up the pit for a couple of hours, and the NASCAR race will start about 5 o'clock. It's the one day that it's okay, socially acceptable to sit your ass in front of the TV and watch racing. And anybody that tells you that you shouldn't, you should just tell them to kiss your racing ass.
Well, I do that most Sundays. So I tell my wife that most of the time if I'm home, but, and she will oblige, but you're totally right. And I think that this is where Formula One, I mean, I don't know if they're trying to make a statement right here, but they're like, we don't need that. And, the sad part about it is they probably don't. I mean, they really don't.
They probably don't.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, they're going to draw in whatever, because that's kind of the misconception. It seems like all the time when those ratings come out, Bobby, towards like, 2 million people watched the All-Star race, and 1 million people watch the Indy, not the 500, but whatever random race. And they're like, oh, only 900,000 people watched Formula One. Yeah, but that's here. That's in the US. Look at the other number. They don't need us. And that kind of sucks, because and this is where, to me, the 3 races go back that far, to where it's like the whole history of this, the Monaco, and then when Indianapolis, and then the whole reason to be why the 600 was derived, was because NASCAR and Bill France said, we need to have something where we can combat the Indy 500, and that was born. It's the longest race in the whole tour, and those stories right there, they're kind of irrelevant now, right? To where it's
the cars are too bulletproof now. Nobody cares. The cars should make it 600, unless you're Denny Hamlin and some TRD people and Ryan Blaney and a couple of Roush Yates engines this year. In theory, the cars are bulletproof and should make 600 miles. Yeah,
and that's kind of the sad part on the 600, to where it's like, I wish those cars would break down. I mean, I think that would be great. That could be a point shakeup, and I mean, I don't know, to where maybe this Sunday. I mean, when I look at the Sunday race, this is a great time for Brad Keselowski to be able to persevere and win that race. And despite everything that he's been
How
through,
about some shitty luck?
oh, dude, that guy. I mean, that whole team. I mean,
Nice guy, by the way. Though when I got to meet him, super nice guy. He didn't have to take that picture with me at the shop, but he did anyway.
Did he say Bobby from Revved Up?
No. Actually, what's funny?
No, you're supposed to say yes.
Well, actually, one guy I got to meet Mike Massaro at the same time.
Oh yeah, the ESPN guy.
Yeah, the old he's does some kind of communication stuff for Roush. And the way it worked is my uncle was over there. We heard him. He says, Mr. Kozlowski, I got a young man who wants to take a picture with you. I walk around the corner.
Who was a young man?
Yeah, it was me.
Oh,
He's
shit.
like, well, that ain't no young man. I'm like, well, I'm just a kid at heart if it makes a difference.
I was gonna say that guy needs glasses. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's awesome, man. But like for him, something like that, to where you remember that one year that Casey Mears won that race. Yeah, it's like those things. But yeah, I mean, the cars don't break down anymore, and it's probably going to be Larson or Blaney or one of these guys that are going to win, and that's where the evolution of how good this car has gotten, and kind of back to the whole point about the black cloud over the 500 with Penske is, you notice, I mean, you still hear it maybe in the NASCAR circles, but the whole Kyle Larson double thing, since the Penske thing started, boom, gone. Not even talking about that anymore.
Well, he also qualified 17th.
Yeah, but he'll drive it up there. He'll drive it up there. What's weather looking like over there? I don't know.
Decent. It's supposed to be hot and windy, which is not good for the cars, but
yeah, no, not good at all. So anyway, my whole thought has been with that, if he were to win somehow, with all the stuff that goes on, I mean, can he get to Charlotte in time?
I mean, he'll be drinking milk and kissing the bricks and then hauling ass, I would guess.
I guess he'd have to be like, yeah, I got to go. I got to get out of here. I got something to do. So anyway, but I will tell you that NASCAR and all the NASCAR affiliates and all the people that talk about NASCAR, and the only ones that get to talk about it, they are being very clear that this is Kyle Larson's intent, is racing NASCAR. They're very on point about that when it comes to all that this year.
I mean, if you win the Indy 500, that's just hard to.
No shit.
Like you got to do two things in a hurry. You got to put on the wreath, you got to drink the milk, you got to kiss the bricks, and you got to shag ass. It's that simple.
God, that sucks. That would suck. Man, that would really suck. Man, extended edition of the Revved.
We didn't even talk about the Hall of Fame. We're supposed to hit that first.
That's coming up. Let's take a look right here. I've got it somewhere. Hold on over here. I'm all thrown off over here, kind of messing around with all my different buttons. So I pulled it up at the wrong time, but here we go. Class of 2026 announced today: Kurt Busch, Harry Gant, Ray Hendrick. Your thoughts, my man?
I hate it.
I'm totally fine with Harry Gant.
I'm not. It is the NASCAR Hall of Fame. It is not the NASCAR Cup Series Hall of Fame. The fact that Larry Phillips is not in the NASCAR Hall of Fame blows my mind every single time they vote for another round of the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
I mean, no disrespect to Kurt Busch, but the fact that he's not in
disrespect to Kurt Busch, to be honest with you, that dude don't need to be in. I'm sorry.
Harry Gant, I mean, he's good. He's got the record for every oldest winner type record in the book, but I don't like it. It's too much. There's too much cup stuff in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And I get that's the epitome.
Well,
I get that's the epitome, but it's the NASCAR Hall of Fame. The multi-time national champion Larry Phillips is not in the Hall of Fame. And that just kills me every time.
Well, and what pisses me off the most is if you go in there and you look at, I don't think that we need to have, what do they call it? Pioneer, whatever. I don't think we need to have different classes of this. I think it just needs to be a Hall of Fame. I don't care. The fact that Larry Phillips is not in, that really bothers me. But Harry Hyde is not in. I don't care if he's a pioneer. I don't care if he's current or whatever they call these different things. Banjo Matthews missed out again as a Pioneer Award winner.
Smokey Unick's not in there.
Smokey's not in there, but this is where it's like the P. Rose thing, where now that he died, they're like, okay, he's eligible. I mean, the Smokey thing, it's like, well, he cheated. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. It's all about the sport. Kurt Busch, not so much.
Here's the nominees, and tell me some of these people that don't belong in the Hall of Fame discussion. In no particular order, they're in alphabetical order. And I don't mean to throw out the first person saying they don't belong. Greg Biffle.
Nope.
Neil Bonnet.
Nope.
Tim Brewer.
At some point.
At some point. Jeff Burton.
Nope.
Kurt Busch.
Nope.
Randy Dorton.
At some point.
Jake Elder.
Yes, at some point.
Harry Gant.
Yes.
Ray Hendrick got in there.
Fine.
Harry Hyde.
Yes.
Randy LaJoy.
No.
Banjo Matthews.
At some point.
Larry Phillips.
That fucker should be. I mean, he should be in. Not fucker,
Jack Sprague and Bob Welborn. That
No.
is the current list of people who should the 2026 nominees. That's not including the other people that are in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could go ahead and pull up the 2025, 2024, but we don't have time for all of that. Here's some other ones. I just pulled up a couple of more years. Sam Ard.
Now that dude should be in.
Donnie Allison. The fact that Sam Ard's not already in the Hall of Fame just kills me too.
Friend of ours, Donnie Allison, but I mean,
AJ Foyt is not. Of course, now granted, AJ Foyt's a weird one for me because he is a world-class driver. He didn't do a lot of shit in NASCAR, I mean, other than winning the Daytona 500 and being one of the greatest drivers ever. His NASCAR stuff. Carl Edwards, who's in the Hall of Fame, will join us next week on Prime.
And this is where, like we talk about, you remember at one point we were talking about the Texas Racing Hall of Fame or whatever that we were trying to do at that point. Carl Edwards is in the Texas Motor Speedway Hall of Fame at TMS. Why?
Because he won races at Texas, I guess.
Yeah, that dude don't need to be in the Hall of Fame.
I'm just saying, no disrespect to Kurt Busch. You know, if we asked to come on the show and he came on the show, I'd probably be kissing his ass. But I'm sorry, with some of these other names, that are not already in here, just is pretty bad.
Well, and I've seen kind of with the Kurt Busch thing where a lot of people are calling the accolades for him. You know, he overcame different things. You know, I know when he went to Furniture Row and did what he did there, and you know, his career was cut short because of people want to blame the car and all these different things. But it's like, he's a champion. He's a champion. I mean, that's the one thing that I will give him that. But when it comes to like Jeff Burton was a great race car driver. Absolutely great race car driver. But I think to me, Jeff Burton has been more impactful in the booth. Neil Bonnet, I would put Neil Bonnet in some kind of Hall of Fame for a
Squire Hall Award for broadcasting.
Yeah. Or something short track related. Neil Bonnet was more impactful to me on the short tracks as a part of the, you know, with the Alabama gang and so forth. I mean, that the Cup career. And again, you know, unfortunately he died in one of these cars. But I hate to speak badly of people that are no longer with us, but Neil Bonnet don't need to be in the Hall of Fame, NASCAR Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
I mean, Alabama gang, his family's been on the show with us.
Yeah,
his other Alabama gang members have been on the show with us.
Bobby should be in, obviously.
As he is.
And Donnie. Donnie, when he raced, and you know, Bobby's talked about this to where if Donnie raced all the time, he would have probably been exceptional. But, you know, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. That's a big if. You know, so anyway, well, here's one I don't have a problem with.
Oh, he should have been in a long time ago.
Yeah. So there you go. There's that. So anyway. Yeah. So Hall of Fame, that's kind of where, and just think, it's only going to get at this point because that's where the NASCAR Hall of Fame was so odd to me because it started later. So you had to get the folks that had to be in there. I mean, you had
your first couple of classes are the ones that needed to be in there.
Absolutely.
I mean, your first class was Bill France Jr., Bill France Sr., Richard Petty Jr. Johnson, and Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Right.
That is if you don't put those guys in, those guys should have been in without even voting. They should have just been in when you built the Hall of Fame. Oh, by the way, we're building the Hall of Fame, and these 5 guys are coming in whether you guys like it or not.
Right. Right. Yeah. We're putting up their monuments and busts or whatever they do over there because they are that important. But this is where I mean, Greg Biffle. I mean, I see the arguments there. You know, he's won truck titles, and now if he had got a cup title, and it's not his fault that he didn't. I mean, he was in spots to do it, but he didn't. I mean, he didn't, and it was a very short span. Harry Gant. I mean, to me, the biggest thing of Harry Gant was. And this is where I kind of go back to your point about Larry Phillips. Is this is where you go back, and that's where this whole criteria thing to me. I put a lot of Harry Gant's, being in the Hall of Fame on what he did before he got to NASCAR, because that dude. I mean, you want to talk about a short track guy? That was Harry Gant, and it took a long time for him to finally get. He was the first Mr. Second Place, and once he finally got to that, he achieved a lot of really cool things, but. To me, Harry Gant is kind of one of the ones where you want to look at a full body of work, you look at Harry Gant. But I mean, some of these other guys, I'm like, oh, come on, man.
2011 class of the Hall of Fame: Bud Moore, Ned Jarrett, Lee Petty, Bobby Allison, David Pearson.
There you go.
No problem with that.
No problem with that.
2012, Glenn Wood, Richie Evans, Dale Inman, Darrell Waltrip, Kel Yarborough.
So how is, again, I love Richie Evans. How was Richie Evans in there, but Larry Phillips didn't?
I don't know. Blows my mind.
Yeah.
Blows my mind. Because if you think about it, Jack Ingram's in, but Sam Ard's not.
I know. Makes no sense, right? If you're basing that on the Busch Grand National Series, how is that?
I don't know. I don't understand, because that's part of actually that was even NASCAR Sportsman, but that's original Grand National.
Yeah, late model
with
sportsman.
Late model Sportsman. Yeah,
yeah, and so much of this is just like it is with the NFL, with MLB, is that a lot of this is. I mean, I know that they have panelists, and NASCAR is better with this than some of the other stick and ball sports, to where they actually have people that are hands on that are a part of this. But so much of this is like the writers. They don't know who the fuck Sam Ard is. They don't know nothing about Larry Phillips. I mean, if that dude didn't win the Daytona 500, they don't know what he did. They have no idea. Yeah. I mean, it's like all these people that we see that cover NASCAR, and a lot of people do a really good job of covering NASCAR, but that they don't know anything from.
They ask the same questions every week.
They don't know anything from 2000 forward that they've read about. And you don't have to be old. I mean, just learn the sport. You know what I mean? And I think
Jerry Cook is in the Hall of Fame.
Who?
Jerry Cook, race car driver.
You race at Longhorn?
Bobby Isaac is in the Hall of Fame.
Well, he should be. He was kind of in that whole. But again, great example right there. It was a very small amount of time for Bobby Isaac. When I think of Bobby Isaac, I think of the Superbirds.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah. Very small amount of time. So, well, it's a newer
Jerry Cook made his name in modifieds, winning 6 NASCAR modified championships, including 4 consecutively from 1974 to 1977.
So how the fuck you leave Larry Phillips out?
I don't know. That, like I said, that blows my mind.
Yeah.
Larry Phillips should have already been in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
We're gonna go, if we go down this rabbit hole, we're gonna be in trouble if we go down this rabbit hole.
Art NASCAR says the Hall of Fame is all about who you know and who you blow, just like politics. So it's, I mean, I kind of get what he's talking about right there, but it is, it really is. It's a very condensed, and the whole thing about it is, to where the Hall of Fames get so tough is that the people that are supposed to be the more educated, and I'm not slamming the current journalists, because I know, look, I'm old. I've grown up in this sport. I know who these other Larry Phillips, I know who all these people are. And there are a lot of other people that probably should be on this ballot that will never be on there, because they just, like we talk about, some of the best race car drivers around the country are racing all week and then on Fridays and Saturdays and never get to NASCAR. But the whole thing is, they just don't know who these people are. And,
there's nothing wrong with there's a difference between being a Hall of Fame caliber individual versus being a Hall of Fame person. Yeah. There's a big difference, in my opinion. Hall of Fame worthy is one thing. Hall of Fame, to be in the Hall of Fame.
Well,
Like here's some guys in the Squire Hall media excellence. Barney Hall, it's named after him. Ken Squire, named after him. Bob Jenkins, Chris Economaki, Steve Burns, Steve Wade, Tom Higgins, a few others, but those are the ones that you and I know. Some people listening may not know.
I mean, that's a pretty good Hall of Fame right there to me.
Dick Berggren is in there too. I missed him.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good Hall of Fame when it comes to that. But I think that's where you need to, I really wish that, I mean, I get it where the broadcasting part, to where this whole pioneer thing, but I don't think that with NASCAR that you need to have a pioneer. What do they call it? I wrote it down somewhere.
Oh, it's
modern versus pioneer. Harry Gann ain't modern. I mean, fuck that. Throw that out. Just make it, here are the people that need to be in. And, you know, we've seen this in baseball and we see it in football and all these Hall of Fames, to where sometimes there aren't enough people on the ballot that you induct somebody. Maybe you only induct one person, you know, until that kind of fills itself up. I mean, I think that there are a lot of people, and I'm going to go back to the Larry Phillips thing. I'll go back to Banjo. I'll go back to, you know, Jake Elder, some of these guys. The fact that these guys still have not gotten in. But look, I know that Jeff Gordon has done amazing things, and Carl Edwards and all these people. Those people should have been in before the modern day people, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, there's a certain, I mean, you know, when you retire, first ballot Hall of Famer, Jeff Gordon, first ballot Hall of Famer, Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
Dale Jr.'s got to be in there now, even though he's been retired for 10 years and still the face of the sport.
Yeah. So
who's the next face other than Dale Jr.? Who's the face of the sport? It's not Chase Elliott, because he's a hermit. He very rarely goes out in public anymore. Is it Ryan? Have you seen the new NASCAR Netflix thing?
No, I haven't.
Is it
watched
Ryan? Is it Ryan fucking Blaney? Is he the next guy?
You know, I really think that if he really tried to push the envelope and really wanted to be the face of NASCAR, I think Christopher Bell would be really, really good at being kind of the one that could go out and reach the short track people and kind of reach the NASCAR people, because the guy speaks really well. I don't know if you heard him on Channel 90, you know, doing some of the play-by-play, and or was that on TV? I don't know where that was, but he's really good. He broke the race down really well. He talked. It seemed like to me he was kind of kissing Kyle Busch's ass a little bit. It seemed like to me, because of maybe some past incidents.
Well, hell, that's Kyle Busch's championship winning crew chief and team.
Yeah,
that people forget about. That's what I mean. That's the same. You know, that's the same guys that he's had that Kyle Busch had.
Yeah.
Adam Stevens has that whole group together from when he won the title with Kyle Busch, when it wasn't his injury year, when it was his good year that he won the title.
Yeah. Well, I think where the series, I don't know if it was a series, I don't know if it was Trackhouse or whoever it was that fucked up, but when they kind of told Ross Chastain to kind of pull it back a little bit, I think that could be a guy that could relate to a lot of people. I think that he was a guy. I think right now, if Kyle Busch was in a winning car, if he was in something that was competing every week, Bobby, that would be a guy that could be absolutely polarizing, because when you get him competitive, that dude's going to be somebody that's going to get the clicks. He's going to say the shit that people want to see. I don't care if he's 30, 40, or 50. That's a guy that kind of in that Earnhardt thing, where I think as he gets older, if you could get that guy competitive again, I think that could be a dude that could capture audiences. He don't give a shit. He don't care. I mean, he's the nicest guy that you can talk to as walking down the sidewalk, but you get him competitive, you get him in a situation where he's been wronged or he wronged somebody, and that's the guy that you want. He's just got to get in some better shit.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, like, you know, the cross Busch and Budweiser have had a tendency to sponsor the guys that are polarizing, that cross paths, right? That's where Ross Chastain comes in. You had Kevin Harvick for a number of years, obviously Dale Jr. with Budweiser. You had Darrell Waltrip back in the 80s. You had Donnie Allison in the late 70s with the Busch Light sponsorship or Busch sponsorship, stuff like that. So the problem is you don't see the same amount of stuff as you saw back when you had multiple guys that were polarizing. In the 90s, you had Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, Davey Allison, Dale Jarrett. That was your big five. Then you there for a while. Then, with the next batch, the next decade, you had Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, who else? Just those guys, right? Dale Jr. And you don't have that with this next generation of talent up here. Nobody's jumped off the page to be not necessarily the face of NASCAR, but just be associated with NASCAR.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess maybe Larson is the closest guy that's jumped off the page because he races every night. Because it's NASCAR champion Kyle Larson racing, not high limits race winner Kyle Larson racing.
But it's very much to me with Larson to where he's kind of like Jimmy Johnson, to where it's like the dude wins all the time, but he's just kind of, oh, shucks. It's not anything that kind of grabs you. I think of the drivers right now, we talked about him a while ago. If Noah Gragson was winning races and competing for top fives, I think that would be a guy where people would be like, okay, let's latch on to him because he's.
Can you imagine him being sponsored by a beer company?
Oh, that would be perfect. I mean, that would be the perfect guy if you're Busch or whoever to latch onto that guy, and you put him in a good ride and he could start winning races. I mean, that's a guy that could win over, what's lacking, in my opinion, with the Cup Series to where that's a guy. Look, you and I both talked to him. I've talked to him hungover, sick, whatever, and he's same as Noah. I mean, that's
at the Derby. He was
he
was one with the people at the Derby. He was getting drunk like everybody else the night before the Derby.
That's all he is. You and I have walked up to Bubba Pollard and he hands us a beer and it's like, Bubba, you're racing tomorrow. I don't give a shit. I mean, those are the kind of guys, but it's a very different time, right now with all of this. But I was actually talking to somebody in Texas, as a matter of fact, because Kyle Busch was next to my booth, did Q&A with people, and he had done, I guess he did a race that weekend or the week before or whatever, and they were like, Kyle Busch is really good on TV. I think that guy has a really bright future on TV. Look at the guys that have been really good as analysts on TV. Let's take Benny Parsons and all those people, Buddy Baker. Let's take them out of the picture. But the more modern day, Darrell Waltrip, when he raced in his heyday, when he was Darrell Waltrip, not DW, asshole, buck the system, talk shit, ruffle the feathers of Cale Yarbrough and David Pearson, all those guys. Kevin Harvick got in there, pissed people off, wanted to fight, do all these different things. Kyle Busch is right in line with that. Those are the best analysts that you're going to find. But when those guys step away, and I'm not saying Kyle Busch is about to do that, but when they do, who takes that mantle? And that's why I really wish that in these last, I don't know how long Kyle Busch is going to race, but and there's a big part of me, Bobby, that says that Kyle Busch may say, I'm going to race late models. I'm going to race dirt. I'm going to go do something else. I'm getting out of this shit. That's NASCAR's loss because, damn it, get him in a fast car. Get him competitive again. Get him competing for championships.
Yeah, but there's nowhere else for him to go. He can't go back to Gibbs. Hendrick's not going to hire him back again.
Can't go to Hendrick. Nope. Trackhouse, I guess.
Trackhouse is a lateral move at best.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you do. Dodge. You race Dodges. They're coming back.
Yeah. In trucks.
That's the other thing, too. I mean, do you think at some point with Kyle Busch to where he's like, I'm going to race trucks. I get, 3 weeks off in a row. I'm going to just go continue to do that. I just don't see that he would.
The only thing that would make me think that he would want to do trucks, if he ran a full season in trucks without running anything else and wins the truck championship, he would be the only guy to win all 3 titles.
Yeah. Because Greg Biffle hasn't.
Yeah, Biffle hadn't won. Biffle and Ace have not won the Cup championships.
That's right. Yeah, Ace. He'll be on that ballot before too long. Anyway, I don't know. Great discussion. Damn, dude. 2 hours. Over 2 hours on a day that we had nothing to talk about.
I'm still feeling like we forgot something.
Let me look. What else do we have to talk about? We talked about Penske. We talked to Marcus there. We talked about Race Fever Speed Week coming up. We talked about Tony Stewart. We didn't mention that our man Logan Boyette, a big winner there at Pensacola once again in in the Outlaws, Jared Maupin with a third place run in the modifieds. We talked about the Cars Tour. We talked about the Hall of Fame. Oh, I did want to mention something. That I think our man Ryan Preece, who's been one of the great stories of 2025, in my opinion, on the NASCAR series, where he's like, we need to put a cone out there. Yeah. When I heard Ryan Preece saying we need a cone out there, I'm like, that dude became my favorite driver. They do need a cone out there. That thing out there, I don't know. Probably a bigger deal to me than anybody else, but I get it. You got a spotter though. They tell you what to do.
Yeah. He fucked up on that.
He did. But it's a good story.
I mean, I agree. If you're committed to it, like when we do the Texas 2-step restarts in the dirt tracks out here, if you commit to the bottom, everybody knows you're going to the bottom. The race director is always on the receiver. Pick a line, high or low, pick a line, high or low, and you pick your line. You usually know which way you're going to go.
Right.
So
yeah. No matter how you do it. Kind of lastly closing, I've seen a lot of talk and so forth where I think folks are worried with the wrecks that we've seen at Indianapolis coming up, leading to Sunday. Larson's crashed a couple of times. I mean, that wreck the other day with McLaughlin. I mean, that was horrible.
Herta's was bad too.
Oh yeah, Herta's. I mean, those were scary. I see a lot of people talking about, well, Sunday could be, really bad, which it could be. I mean, it totally could be, but it is one of those things to where you have these grinding crashes. We've seen it year after year after year, but yet on Sunday, I mean, there's always going to be extenuating circumstances that happen. But for the most part, through all of this, they seem to figure out a way to be able to dance in line when it comes to the greatest spectacle in sports.
They look good in that drafting practice on Monday.
Yeah, they really did.
They look good. The conga line, snake line, whatever you want to call it, look good. Yes, there were some incidents, but for the most part, those cars look damn good. Made me hopeful for the 500 to be a really good race.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing with that, to where it really does seem like with that, because you look at the 500 and it's like it's 200 laps, and we watch races all the time to where they're racing 200 to 300 to 400 laps depending on what racetrack they're on. But it does seem like at Indianapolis that they figure out a way on Sunday to go ahead and make this thing work out. And yeah, the wrecks that are going to happen. I mean, there's not a way at Indianapolis that you can have a calm wreck. If you're going to crash, you're going to hit the fence on the inside. You're going to hit the fence on the outside. I don't care if there's a safer barrier or whatever there may be on there. You're going to hit, and it's going to fucking hurt. There is no doubt about it. But they do seem to figure out ways to be able to make this thing work. And I don't know, man. I think we're in for a good one here on Sunday with the 500. I don't know.
But we need to temper it, though. There will be downtime in that race. That race is going to suck. It's going to get stretched out. It's going to get boring. It's 500 miles. Same thing with the 600. 600 is going to get stretched out. 600 is going to get boring because it's 600 damn miles.
Yeah.
So just keep in mind, we don't need the conversation on Monday. That Indy 500 sucked because between mile 200 and 300, they didn't do shit. Well, I don't expect them to go balls out between that time because they're trying to save some of their stuff towards the end.
Don't be that guy that Tony Stewart is talking about.
I make a big mistake of reading social media, which I think we all make very vital, critical mistakes by reading the keyboard warriors that are dumbasses that sit in their mother's basements and don't do a damn thing and haven't accomplished anything in their life.
We'll leave it at that. We will leave it at that. But I guarantee you that will be happening. Don't forget, friends. You've
pick
got,
for the 500. We didn't pick. Did you pick? You want to pick somebody?
For the 500, hold on. Let me get my roster out here. Let me put my glasses on and see who I'm going to pick. There's a big part of me that wants to go with Alex Palou because he wins everything. But I'm going to look here. I am actually going to go. Hold on. Let me kind of work through. You know who I'd love to see win? Ed Carpenter. That would be so cool.
Be a good story.
But he does seem to find ways to get in trouble here. I think I'm actually going to go with Takuma Sato. I think that he's going to kind of fall back a little bit right there at the beginning of that race and kind of start to manage as everything goes on. But I'll take Taku to win and quietly etch his name into history.
I pictured you as a Pato guy this week.
Hey, come on, man. I'm Hispanic, but come on.
I'm just saying.
No, yeah, I love that guy. San Antonio roots with that guy, but the Pato's another one of those guys to where it's like, if there's a bad situation, he can find it. I just think that Sato is a guy where he will manage the race and let it come to him. And remember, he crashed too in practice. He wiped some shit out, and here he is, middle of the front row. But I'm gonna go with Taku. I'm going with Takuma Sato to win this one.
Give me Dixon. I think Dixon's gonna rebound. Been quiet. Every time Scott Dixon's quiet, he's usually fast in the end. Give me Scott Dixon.
Anybody? So with the Penske cars, with Newgarden and Power way back there. Any chance you think that those guys can, and you want to talk about tainted? I mean, it's going to be, and the whole thing is with McLaughlin. Isn't it funny as they're starting to look at all the different things that were illegal or not allowed? They went and looked at that wrecked ass car, and his is okay.
Yeah,
through all that wreck, it was okay.
Can you? The betting lines are nut. Have you seen the betting lines? I don't have them in front of me, and we don't have time for me to pull them up. The betting lines for Will Power and Joseph Newgarden to come back and win the Indianapolis 500 are insane.
You know what would really kind of just everything that we've watched through the month of May as this thing has kind of gotten turned on its heels, and the Penske thing has become the story, and Larson's kind of flying under the radar there just a little bit, and with the rookie on the pole and so forth. If Elio Castroneves finds a way to win,
number 5,
which
the drive for 5.
Yeah, he finds ways to put himself in position to win. If this dude, through all of this, of the month of May, finds a way to win number 5 this way, I think that would be a fitting end to this 109th Indianapolis 500.
If I was him and I won the Daytona 500, the Indianapolis 500 after a piss poor performance at the Daytona 500, I would hang it up. You win the drive for 5, you get 5. Done. I'd kiss the bricks and tell everybody kiss my ass. I'm out. Peace.
Speaking of that, so back over to Charlotte. You think this is it for Jimmy? I don't think Jimmy Johnson's going to win the Coke 600, but no other races scheduled for him this year. I've heard a lot of the talk to where it's like, okay, what is it for? I don't know how many starts this is. It's like a monumental start for him.
700.
You think Jimmy is done? You think he's like, okay, I'm done?
I actually thought he was going to be done when he retired in 2020.
I would have really liked for him with that Daytona run, where folks are like, he finished 3rd. It's like, well, shit. It's hard. It's hard to not finish 3rd when everybody's crashing. But I think we may see Jimmy for the last time.
Maybe.
Time.
I guess that's the dog alarm telling us we ran long.
Yeah, we did. 2 hour. Damn, we did run long. This may be the longest revved up ever that we've ever done.
I don't know. We did on the FM show. We did a 3-hour Formula One show one day.
That's right. Yeah, that boring ass shit. And yet we still managed to finish this one off. All right, dude, what is your weekend? So, I mean, you like mimosas. You like doing all that stuff. Your last time, brother, is that what you're doing on Sunday?
I don't know, dude. I'm probably going to Cotton Bowl on Saturday night to our friends.
So you're adding to it. So we need to.
But I come back way too late from Cotton Bowl, so I don't know if I'm going to be up in enough time to do the mimosas at Formula One, unless I actually just say goodbye to H and Marianne at a decent hour and come home.
Drink them on the way home.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I get back late.
I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
I get back late from Cotton Bowl like 3-4 o'clock in the morning.
What the hell are you doing over there?
I help H lock the doors and put stuff up, and I mean, he offers me Southern Comfort and Diet Coke. I mean, I can't be rude. I don't want to turn the man's whiskey off.
There it is right there. There it is right there. I knew there had to be more to that. So anyway.
Joyce sometimes cooks, so there's lots of good food.
The time that I went this year, she cooked and it was running way late. And I'm like, baby, I gotta go. I can't eat.
She's like, sit your ass down and eat.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I can't eat that late anymore. Any time now, Bobby, that I eat after kind of lost some weight and stuff going on. So anytime that I eat after like 10, which will probably be tonight, my tummy gets all messed up. And I've got to do a radio deal tomorrow where I'm going to go out to Sue Patrick and eat those military MREs.
Oh,
so, yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be fun. The shit that I sign up for. But yeah, so you need to build your graphic and say, here's Showtime Bobby Chaffee's Sunday, Cotton Bowl, Monaco, Indianapolis, and Charlotte.
Could be fun.
Yeah, all 4 of them. Makes
I don't know.
sense.
If I can just not stay out late at Cotton Bowl, I can probably make all 3 races tomorrow.
The wife just looked in the door and she's like, "What are you doing?" I think she's ready for bed. So she said, "Shut my ass. It's time to shut this thing down." Almost 2.5 hours of great radio right here. So we'll lock it down, and dogs are about to go crazy. So great program. Thank you to Marcus Harkrow. All-Star Shootout happening. It is 4 nights of action. Be sure and check that out. And you can find it on imca.tv, I think is where you said that you can find that. So
Correct.
Be sure and do that. Yep. Go out and find a local short track. If you're in South Texas, go to Corpus. You got 2 nights of action that are going to be going on there. And like we always say, Bobby, if you can't find a racetrack, find a streamer. They will take care of you.
That's right. Consume it how you can, however you can get it, in person, online, or over the newspaper. It doesn't matter. Just consume it the best you can.
Newspaper? What is that?
That's that thing that they used to. That's the things that they used to wipe their ass with a long time ago.
Oh, my man.
That was what you read in the John before we had cell phones. That's what a
right.
newspaper is.
That's right. My man is delirious over here. All right, you guys. Thank you for checking in. We're still going strong right here, but we're going to call it a night. We'll do it again next Tuesday, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. It is hashtag Real Race Talk, the Revved Up Sports Show. That's Bobby down south. I'm Rodney up north. We are in Texas. You guys be sure and check in next week. We'll do it again. See you next time.